Let me begin with a simple truth. Your words shape your world. What you say to others matters, but what you say to yourself matters even more. Every day, each of us speaks thousands of words in our minds. We narrate our story, define our worth, and set the tone for how we see the world all through the conversations we have with ourselves. Every thought we think, every word we speak to ourselves, becomes the script we follow in life. Most people don't realize how powerful their inner dialogue truly is. We go through our days on autopilot, unconsciously narrating our experiences, labeling our worth, and predicting our outcomes, all based on what we tell ourselves internally. But what if we stopped for a moment and paid attention to the quality of those words? What if we realized that our inner voice is not merely a reflection of reality, but a force that shapes it? Our brains are wired to believe repetition. When we tell ourselves something enough times, whether positive or negative, the mind accepts it as truth. If every day you whisper in your mind, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess things up," or "nothing ever works out for me," you begin to behave in alignment with those beliefs. You shrink in opportunities, you hesitate to try, you sabotage your progress not because you're incapable, but because your mind is operating from a script that says you are. Conversely, when your inner dialogue is empowering, the impact is just as strong and infinitely more constructive. Telling yourself, "I am learning," "I can figure this out," or "I am worthy of success," begins to reprogram your mindset. These aren't just empty phrases, they're mental shifts that realign your emotions and behaviors with possibility and growth. You begin to approach challenges differently. You start to see failure as feedback rather than a dead end. You trust yourself more. This shift in internal language doesn't require outside validation. It's something you can cultivate from within, regardless of what others think or say. That's the beauty of inner dialogue. It's entirely yours to control. No one can hear it, but everyone around you will eventually see the results of it. Your confidence, your presence, your ability to lead, love, and live with purpose, all of that stems from what you're consistently telling yourself. People often believe that change begins with external actions, getting a new job, moving to a new place, starting a new relationship. And while those things can have an impact, they're not lasting if your inner world stays the same. You might enter a new opportunity still carrying the old belief, "I don't belong here," or "I'm not smart enough for this." Eventually, that belief will sabotage the very thing you worked so hard to get. But imagine if your inner narrative changed first. Imagine starting each day with the words, "I am capable, I am resilient, I have what it takes." That internal foundation would support you through challenges, motivate you through uncertainty, and keep you grounded in self-worth regardless of external outcomes. Your inner dialogue is like the soil of your life. If you plant seeds of doubt, you grow weeds of fear. But if you plant seeds of belief, hope, and love, you create an environment where growth is not only possible, it's inevitable. This isn't about blind optimism. It's about choosing language that supports your highest self. It's about becoming intentional with your thoughts, because they are not just reflections of your reality, they are creators of it. So start listening. Really listen to what you say to yourself when no one else is around. Catch the negative scripts and challenge them. Replace them with words that empower, uplift, and expand you. Because when your inner world shifts, your outer world can't help but follow. Self-affirmation is a powerful tool that helps build self-worth by shifting the way we perceive ourselves. At its core, self-affirmation involves the intentional practice of speaking positive, supportive, and empowering words to oneself. These are not empty compliments or wishful thinking, but grounded statements that reinforce one's strengths, values, and potential. When practiced consistently, self-affirmations become a mental anchor, helping individuals hold on to their sense of worth especially in moments of doubt, fear, or failure. The reason self-affirmations are so impactful is because they counter the negative self-talk that many people engage in unconsciously. Over time, negative thoughts like "I'm not good enough," "I always mess up," or "I don't deserve success" become ingrained. These beliefs are often rooted in past experiences, criticism, rejection, or comparison. Left unchecked, they begin to shape a person's identity and limit their potential. Self-affirmation challenges these false beliefs by introducing a more truthful and supportive narrative. For example, replacing "I'm a failure" with "I am learning and growing every day" creates space for growth and self-compassion. When a person affirms their value, they are choosing to see themselves through a lens of worthiness rather than inadequacy. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but it builds gradually. Repeating affirmations daily, such as "I am worthy of love," "I am capable of achieving my goals," or "I deserve happiness," helps rewire the brain's pathways. The more these messages are repeated, the more the brain begins to believe them. Neuroscience supports this idea, showing that repeated thought patterns can create new neural connections, reinforcing a healthier self-image. Self-worth is the foundation of confidence, decision-making, and emotional resilience. When people believe in their own worth, they are more likely to take risks, pursue their goals, set healthy boundaries, and bounce back from setbacks. On the other hand, a lack of self-worth often leads to people settling for less than they deserve, whether in relationships, careers, or personal goals. They may feel unworthy of love, afraid of success, or reluctant to speak up for themselves. Self-affirmation directly addresses this by reminding individuals of their intrinsic value, not based on what they do or achieve, but simply because they exist. The effects of self-affirmation extend beyond personal growth. When people feel worthy, they show up differently in the world. They are more likely to treat others with kindness, take on leadership roles, express themselves creatively, and contribute meaningfully to their communities. They become more present, more generous, and more at peace with who they are, and this creates a ripple effect. One person's elevated sense of self-worth can inspire others to do the same, fostering healthier relationships and more positive environments. Practicing self-affirmation requires consistency and intention. It can be done in many forms: spoken aloud in the mirror, written in a journal, repeated silently during meditation, or even posted visibly on notes around your home or workspace. What matters is not the method, but the commitment to making it a daily habit, especially in difficult times. When you feel discouraged, overwhelmed, or defeated, that's when affirmations are most needed. They act as reminders of who you truly are beneath the stress, the failure, or the doubt. Self-worth is not something we need to earn. It's something we need to recognize. Self-affirmation helps bring that recognition into focus. It's a quiet but powerful act of reclaiming your inner voice and choosing to speak to yourself with the same care and compassion you would offer to someone you love. And when you do that consistently, your self-worth doesn't just improve, it becomes unshakable. Belief is the silent architect behind every meaningful transformation in life. Whether it's personal growth, professional success, healing from past wounds, or breaking through limitations, belief is the root from which all change begins. Before any visible shift occurs in our external world, there is first a shift in our internal landscape, a decision to believe that change is not only possible, but also within our reach. Without belief, even the most well-laid plans and best intentions collapse under the weight of doubt. But with belief, the impossible starts to look possible, and doors that once seemed closed begin to open. What we believe about ourselves determines how we show up in the world. If someone believes they are unworthy, unintelligent, or incapable, they begin to act in ways that confirm those beliefs. They avoid opportunities, play small, and sabotage their own potential, not because they lack ability, but because their belief system tells them they're not enough. On the other hand, when someone believes they are capable, deserving, and resilient, they approach life with confidence and courage. They take risks, pursue dreams, and persist through setbacks because their belief sustains them even when results aren't immediate. Transformation, by nature, is uncomfortable. It demands letting go of familiar patterns and stepping into the unknown. That process is often met with fear, resistance, and self-doubt. What allows a person to move through that discomfort is belief, a deep internal trust that the journey is worth it, that growth is unfolding even if it's not yet visible. Belief acts like an inner compass, guiding us through uncertainty and reminding us that we are becoming more than we were yesterday. This is why belief is often the missing link in personal development. You can have the right goals, the best strategies, and all the tools in the world, but if your belief system is rooted in fear or self-doubt, your actions will always be limited. You may hesitate to start or quit at the first sign of difficulty, or constantly question whether you're on the right path. Belief doesn't eliminate struggle, but it changes your relationship with it. It turns obstacles into lessons, failures into feedback, and delays into preparation. Belief gives you the stamina to keep going when nothing else seems to be working. Belief is also contagious. When you truly believe in yourself, others begin to believe in you too. Your energy shifts, you speak differently, you carry yourself with a quiet conviction that inspires trust and admiration. People are drawn to those who radiate belief, not because they're perfect, but because they're grounded in a truth about who they are and what they stand for. This kind of belief can't be faked. It's cultivated through daily practice affirmations, self-reflection, and the courage to keep showing up even when the outcome is uncertain. Importantly, belief is a choice. It's not something you're born with or something that only lucky people have. It's something you decide to build moment by moment, thought by thought. You don't need proof of your future success to start believing in it. In fact, belief often has to come before the evidence appears. This is the leap of faith that every transformation requires. The willingness to trust the process before it makes sense, to see yourself as capable before the results confirm it. At the heart of every story of transformation, whether it's a person overcoming addiction, building a business, healing from heartbreak, or finding their purpose, you will find belief. A decision to believe that they were more than their circumstances, more than their past, more than their fears. That belief became the spark, the fuel, and the foundation that carried them through change, and that same belief is available to anyone willing to choose it. When you believe in yourself, even slightly, you set in motion a powerful shift. Over time, that belief becomes your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. In a world obsessed with flawless outcomes and polished images, the pursuit of perfection often becomes a hidden trap. It convinces people that anything less than ideal is failure, that effort is only worthwhile if it leads to a perfect result. But the truth is, perfection is a myth, a moving target that's impossible to reach. The real measure of growth, fulfillment, and success lies not in being perfect, but in making progress. Progress is greater than perfection because it honors the process, the persistence, and the courage to keep going, even when things are messy and uncertain. Progress is forward movement, no matter how small. It's trying again after a setback, learning from mistakes, and showing up even when it's hard. Unlike perfection, which demands immediate and flawless results, progress gives space for learning and evolution. It's a mindset that says, I may not be there yet, but I'm on my way. And that mindset is what leads to lasting transformation. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every story of success is built on a foundation of imperfect steps forward. The pursuit of perfection often leads to paralysis. People put off starting new projects, avoid sharing their ideas, or stay silent when they want to speak up because they're afraid of not getting it exactly right. This fear stifles creativity and kills momentum. Perfectionism can disguise itself as high standards, but at its core, it's driven by fear. Fear of failure, judgment, and not being enough. Progress, on the other hand, is rooted in courage. It allows room for imperfection because it understands that growth requires risk, experimentation, and sometimes getting it wrong. Progress embraces failure as part of the journey. Instead of viewing mistakes as evidence of inadequacy, a progress-oriented mindset sees them as valuable feedback. Each setback becomes an opportunity to learn, adjust, and move forward with more clarity. This approach builds resilience because it teaches that mistakes aren't the end, they're simply part of the learning curve. In contrast, perfectionism treats mistakes as unacceptable, often leading to shame, self-criticism, and eventually burnout or avoidance. Another reason progress is greater than perfection is that it builds momentum. When we focus on taking small, consistent steps, we begin to experience a sense of accomplishment. These small wins add up over time and fuel motivation. This is how habits are formed and sustained, not by doing everything perfectly, but by showing up again and again. Whether it's learning a new skill, improving your health, or working on your confidence, progress is made through repetition and patience, not instant mastery. Focusing on progress also promotes self-compassion. It allows us to accept where we are without judgment and acknowledge that growth is a personal journey. We are all evolving at our own pace, and what matters is that we are moving forward. When we stop comparing ourselves to unrealistic ideals or to others who may be at a different stage, we begin to appreciate our own path. Self-compassion fuels motivation far more than self-criticism ever will. Perfection is rigid, but progress is flexible. It adjusts to challenges, adapts to change, and encourages persistence. Life is unpredictable, and waiting for the perfect moment, perfect plan, or perfect conditions often leads to inaction. Progress allows us to work with what we have, where we are, and to trust that we're learning and improving with each step. Perfection is an illusion, but progress is real, it's tangible, it's empowering. It's what transforms ideas into action, dreams into reality, and fear into growth. When we let go of the pressure to be perfect and instead commit to steady progress, we open ourselves up to more creativity, more joy, and more fulfillment. The goal isn't to be flawless, it's to be better than yesterday, and that is more than enough. Lasting change does not happen overnight. It is not the result of a single breakthrough moment or one powerful decision. Instead, true and sustainable transformation is built slowly, day by day, through consistent and intentional practice. Daily practice is the quiet force behind every significant change in mindset, behavior, and results. It doesn't demand perfection or dramatic leaps. It asks for commitment, patience, and the willingness to show up repeatedly, even when the results aren't immediate. One of the greatest misconceptions people have about change is that it needs to be sudden and life-altering. They wait for the perfect time to start a new habit or believe they need to feel completely ready before they begin. But real change begins with small, often invisible steps taken consistently. Whether it's learning a new skill, improving emotional health, or building confidence, it is the daily effort that compounds over time into something powerful. Just as a drop of water falling daily on a stone can eventually carve a hole, our small actions, repeated over time, reshape who we are and how we live. The beauty of daily practice lies in its ability to rewire our brain and shift our identity. When we repeat a behavior regularly, it becomes part of our routine. Eventually, what once required effort becomes automatic. This is how habits are formed, not through intensity, but through frequency. For instance, if you want to become more confident, speaking affirmations once won't make much difference. But repeating them every morning for weeks or months begins to shift the way you see yourself. The repetition creates new neural pathways in the brain, and slowly your default thoughts start to change. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment to practice something daily, even in a small way, you strengthen your sense of discipline and integrity. You begin to believe in your own reliability, which is a cornerstone of self-confidence. Even on the days when motivation is low, simply sticking to your practice reminds you that you are capable of showing up, and that alone is progress. You no longer need to rely on bursts of inspiration because your discipline carries you forward. Daily practice also teaches patience. In a world that glorifies quick results and instant gratification, choosing to invest in long-term growth is a radical act. It reminds us that some of the most meaningful results take time to emerge. It encourages us to slow down, to trust the process, and to value consistency over intensity. The daily work may feel mundane at times, but it is in that repetition that mastery and transformation are born. Another essential aspect of daily practice is its grounding effect. Life can be chaotic and unpredictable, but having a practice that you return to each day, whether it's journaling, meditating, exercising, learning, or simply reflecting, creates a sense of stability. It gives you something to anchor into, a space that's yours, where you can reconnect with your values and intentions. This consistency can be especially powerful during times of stress, uncertainty, or transition. It reminds you of who you are and what matters most. Change is not a destination, it is a continual unfolding. Daily practice is the tool that supports that unfolding, one step at a time. It is less about achieving perfection and more about honoring the process. The small actions you take today might not seem significant, but over time they become the building blocks of a new reality. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to keep showing up. Because the most profound changes come not from what you do occasionally, but from what you do consistently. And when you commit to daily practice, you lay the foundation for lasting, meaningful change. The words we speak, both to others and to ourselves, carry far more power than we often realize. They shape the way we think, influence how we feel, and ultimately determine the quality of the reality we experience. Every sentence we say is a reflection of our inner beliefs, and those beliefs form the foundation of our decisions, actions, and perceptions. When we begin to consciously shift our language, especially our self-talk, we initiate a transformation that starts internally but extends outward into every aspect of our lives. Language is the lens through which we interpret our world. If our words are filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, we start to see our lives through that filter. Saying things like "I can't," "I'm always failing," or "nothing ever works out for me" may seem like harmless expressions of frustration, but repeated often enough, they become deeply ingrained beliefs. The subconscious mind doesn't question the truth of what we say, it absorbs and accepts it. Over time, those negative statements quietly program our expectations, causing us to anticipate failure, miss opportunities, and doubt our own worth. On the other hand, shifting our words to reflect hope, possibility, and strength creates a very different experience. Statements like "I'm learning," "I am capable," or "good things are coming my way" might not seem revolutionary at first, but they plant seeds of belief. They begin to reframe challenges as growth opportunities and turn fear into courage. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing language that empowers rather than diminishes, that supports progress instead of keeping us stuck. Changing your words changes your energy. When you speak kindly to yourself, your body responds, your nervous system relaxes, your confidence rises. You begin to walk into situations with a greater sense of assurance and openness. This shift in energy affects how others perceive you, how you interact with the world, and even how new opportunities unfold. People are drawn to those who speak with clarity and conviction because it signals trustworthiness and strength. One of the most profound ways to begin shifting your reality is by becoming aware of your default language patterns. Pay attention to the words you use when you make a mistake, face a challenge, or describe your life. Are your words filled with blame, shame, and fear, or do they reflect ownership, compassion, and possibility? Often, we speak to ourselves more harshly than we would ever speak to a friend, replacing self-criticism with encouragement is not self-indulgent, it's necessary for growth and resilience. Another way to consciously shift your language is by using affirmations and intentional phrases. Writing or saying affirmations like "I am enough," "I choose peace," or "I trust the timing of my life" helps redirect your focus. These words serve as reminders of your strength and worth, especially when external circumstances try to convince you otherwise. Over time, affirmations become more than just words. They become your inner truth. The transformation doesn't happen overnight. Shifting your words requires daily awareness and practice. It involves catching yourself in moments of negativity and gently choosing a more empowering response. But each small shift adds up. Like a compass changing direction by just a few degrees, consistent change in language gradually alters the course of your life. Your words create your story, and your story creates your reality. You are the narrator of your own experience, and the power to rewrite the script lies in your hands. When you choose to speak words that uplift, encourage, and empower, you begin to see a world that reflects those same qualities. Your relationships deepen, your goals feel more attainable, and your inner peace expands. Shifting your words may seem simple, but it is one of the most profound and life-altering changes you can make.